Hello there. We are selling a kid's slide bed. That's what I call it. I found a version of it on Amazon, the exact same model as what we have. Here it is branded as a DHP Junior Loft with slide. This is the cheapest version of it I could find on Amazon or on the internet for that matter. So it looks like this. You can get a good look at it here. Just kind of go through some of the other images. And that's where the mattress lies. So anyway, I found other version of this bed as well on wayfair.com, wayfair.ca. By the way, I live in southwest Ontario, so this is only for that area if you're looking to buy this bed. Here it's listed for $375, so it's obviously higher than the Amazon listing, but this is also the same bed. But just to show that this bed is branded in different ways depending on where you buy it. So I'll have some more videos on the disassembly of this and all the parts of this that you can expect to get should you purchase this. Okay, so we're going to go over the parts list for this slide bed here. So these are all the parts that you really need to put it together. So first, they're going to have one headboard. So the headboard looks like this. Let's back up a little bit here. So the thing that distinguishes the headboard from the footboard are the number of square holes that are in it. So on the headboard on the right-hand side, you see 2 square holes down there. That's where the ladder will fit in. And up here, you're going to see 2 square holes here. That's where the side rail, when I say side rail, I mean that's the thing that makes you not fall out of bed on the other side of the bed. The next thing on the list is the footboard. So the footboard looks very similar to the headboard, but the footboard only has 2 squares on it. And this is again for the side rail for the other side, for the other end of the bed, where that fits in like Lego basically. The next piece is you have one right side rail / mattress rail / ladder combo piece. So that's what this giant piece is over here. It's all combined together in one piece. You can see the ladder, the thing in the middle with all the little holes in it, I call that the mattress rail. And the thing on top, I call that the side rail. So that's the thing that stops you from falling out of the other side of the bed. So up here where the ladder is, that's where you climb up, obviously. And on this space on the other side is where the slide goes, essentially. One left side rail. So the left side rail is this thing on the bottom that's leaning up against the wall. And that's the thing that stops you from falling out of the bed on the other side. One left mattress rail. So mattress rail is the thing that actually bears the weight of the mattress, and that's basically bed level, and that's this long skinny thing with all the holes in it, basically. One slide. Slide is here. Basically. 22 mattress crossbars. So what I call a mattress crossbar are these things. This is the thing that the mattress lies on. See, there's 22 of them to match the 22 holes that goes in the mattress side rail. So that's the rail on the one side, and then that's where the mattress crossbar will go into the other side, and there's 22. 21 mattress stabilizers. Okay, so mattress stabilizer, and I cover this in other parts of the video, are these things. So you can see there's 21 of them you know, notice it's one less than 22, and that's because if you have 21 connectors across 22 bars, you only need 21 stabilizers. So these things fit across these bars basically like that. I show that in another part of the video, but there's a little bit more to it because there are 22 mattress stabilizer brackets. So that's these things. So again, I cover this in another part of the video, but these brackets fit on here, and the stabilizers fit on here, basically like that. Okay, so let's take that off, and I'll take that other thing off later. 44 mattress, I call them crossbar covers. So that's probably not a great name for them, but that's these things here. There's 44 of them. There's 44 because there's 22 crossbars, and there's a left and a right hand side for each. So what they do after you put the end of the crossbar into here is these things actually will snap it into place, and they actually hold the crossbar in place. And I think and you can see a little hole down there where the end of the crossbar would be. Oh, and I'll take that off later. Which brings us to the screws. So there's not a lot of screws. So I've classified them as type 1, 2, and 3 screws. So there's 8 of these what I call type 1 screws, okay? And I'll show them to you here. They're the thick screws. There's 8 of them. They have a large screw head, and they're not very long. They're about 7/8 of an inch long. And there's 8 of them because they hold up. I call them the load-bearing ones, and they go into the corners of the footboard and the headboard. And I've labeled them 1 for type 1 screw, and that's 2, 4, over to 6, and 8. Okay. So there's a type 6 of these, what I call type 2 screws. They're around 5/8 long, and they have a small screw head. They're used on the outer frame. They hold the side rails and the ladder in, and that's what these are. They have a small screw head, and they're short, so they don't do a whole lot. But what they do, when you assemble this bed, you're going to take basically you're going to put the frame together. You're going to put the footboard and the headboard, and you're going to take those side rails and those mattress rails, and you're going to basically kind of put everything together. And what holds those things together, what keeps them together is these in the back. You put these small screws in basically. So there's 6 of them. You don't need them on one of the posts. So you'll see 2 here, and they're labeled with 2s. 2 up here on the left side rail on top. 2 and 2. Go over to the footboard. Go to the back of the footboard. This on the footboard, you'll notice on the one side we don't have any here. Guess the design doesn't require it. And on the upper one, this is for to secure the side rail on the outside. Okay, so that just leaves 2 more screws left. What I call type 3 screws are long. They're about an 1.5 inch long, so the longest screw. They have the small screw head, and they're used for the slide. So that's these things, these 2 here. Okay, they're long because it's a pretty long gap between the slide and when you're connecting it to the frame. You'll see holes here, 1, 2. So that's about it. Those are all the parts that you need for this bed. If you have all of these parts and you've watched the rest of the video, shouldn't have any trouble putting this thing together. So before you buy it and haul it away, just make sure that everything is here that matches this list. Hello, I'm going to be showing off a children's slide bed. So this bed has been advertised as a bunk bed or a slide bed, something like that. So it's basically to give the kid the idea that they can climb up to the bed and slide down the slide. And it's not really anything underneath it that can be purely used for storage. I believe this was purchased by my wife, who I think got it off of an internet site, like a Wayfair type of thing. So I don't know what type of branding it is, but I've seen a lot of these beds on the internet with different branding, but it's the exact same bed. The bed is 100% metal. It's put together by screws. You can see that it's in an L shape. Now, if you are buying this bed, one thing that you should either one, have a room that's quite large. We're in a very small room right now. Or two, you should have a corner that you can put it into with two walls that don't interfere with either the doorway, which is almost the case here, and or the closet. So in a perfect situation, this bed would fit into the corner of a room that had a longer wall that could accommodate the bed, and almost as long of a wall that can accommodate the bed plus the slide. The exact dimensions I don't have, but basically I can try to show that this room is relatively small. It's the smallest bedroom that we have in our house anyway. Anyway, so I'm gonna disassemble this bed into as few pieces as possible in order to make it easy to put back together again. And you'll also see that this is the bed looks like from the top. These pieces are actually the only pieces of plastic on the bed, and what they help stabilize the bed. And you'll see that they're in a pattern of back and forth, so to help keep it stronger. So I'll start to take apart the bed, and I'll try to video each part of it as I go. Okay, so I'm underneath the bed right now, and I'm going to take the slide off, which would be the first part of the process. I can see that there are, looks like 4 screws holding this slide bed, the slide onto the bed. So there's this 1, 2, 3, and a 4th one on top. And I've noticed something about these screws. They're all hex key screws, but the ones that attach into either the headboard or the end board are wider, and the ones that attach everything else are a little bit smaller, but they're actually the same hex key size. But I assume that because this has to hold the weight of these screws here, these larger ones that have to hold the weight of the entire platform, must be a little bit thicker. So, but you can see that is the same case over here on the other post. Actually see a wider screw here, but a smaller screw head, I should say, that attaches this to this. which is not as load bearing. And the same thing on the other side of the bed. Here, for instance, you'll see a small screw head here on the non-load bearing. But here, with the larger screw head, which is attaching this to the footboard or whatever you call that. So if you can remember that general pattern, it'll be easier to put together. Okay, so I've taken the slide off. The slide is here on the ground. I was mistaken. It's actually only 2 screws that hold the slide on the bed. This one. These 2 are just used to hold it, the main platform onto the frame. These screws are here. They're of the smaller type, smaller head. And they're about 1.5 inches long, approximately. So now I'll probably be looking to remove these cross beams, and they come out very easily. And I'll do that in my next video. Okay, so I'm about to remove the cross beams out of the bed. There's no tools involved here. These are simply plastic, and they come off just by pulling them. I haven't done this for a while, so there we go. A bit delicate. There, I got one off there. They just basically look like that. So I'll be taking all of these off, and I'll be popping these things out. Now those plastic things, I'm not sure if they need to come out or not. I'll do it and I'll find out, and I'll film the next step. Okay, so I'm still taking these things out of the bed, these middle stabilizers, and just one thing I wanted to note that I didn't note on my last video is there's actually 2 parts to this. There's these things that hold the beams together that look like that, and there's also these little round things that these things go into. So you should probably have a bunch of these things and a bunch of these things when you're done. Okay, so I just wanted to film taking off one of these bars. So what I found out is these plastic pieces need to come out prior to taking the bar out. So they come out quite easily. Just pop off, as you can see, and exposes a little hole there. Do the same thing on the other side. Let's put these plastic pieces with the others. Now, once you get it like that, this thing moves around, and with some play, you can get it to pop out. So I'll probably, oh there, see, I got that in to pop out. And then now I'll come to the side, pop this out. So I'll be doing a lot of that. Okay, so I've popped all of these cross beams out. You can see there's just a big empty space in the middle here now. So I'm just gonna count the number of beams here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, which makes sense. So 22 beams, there should be 22 beams, cross beams here. As you can see, they're in groups of 5. So we've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 22 beams. The little plastic things that secure the beams is 2 per side, so it makes sense that there are 44 plastic things, as you can see here. And with regard to the stabilizers, there's exactly 21 stabilizers, which at first may not make sense, but if you're connecting 22 beams, you only need 21 stabilizers, or n minus 1. I think that's something to do with graph theory, but which I'm not a master of. And here, these things here, which actually connect the connectors, or the stabilizers, there's 22 of those, which makes sense. 21 stabilizers with 22 stabilizer connectors. So the next thing I'll be doing is I'll be taking the ends off, headboard and the footboard, or whatever you call it in this bed, and that should basically be disassembled enough for resale. Okay, so I'm about to take the footboard off. I'll just show it again. It looks like it should be a matter of 4 screws, these larger flathead screws that I showed earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it should be relatively simple. Okay, so in part of disassembling, taking off the footboard, one thing I noticed is I kind of have to do the footboard and the headboard simultaneously. So as you see, I've taken this part out, which connected to this side beam here. And the problem is when I tried to take out the screws out of this side beam, it was instantly leaving all of the weight on these 2 screws. So what I've done is I've taken the side beam off of one side of the bed. And you can see that these pieces will just pull apart. They just slide into place essentially. So there'll be nothing to take apart there. So I'll be taking on this side, I'll be doing the same thing, taking this side beam out, and this side beam out, and the only difference here is we will have the ladder section, which is actually holding the bed together on this side, instead of this upper piece here. So we're going to have a few of these side pieces as well when we're done disassembly. So I'll go ahead and disassemble the other side of the bed, and I'll show all the pieces. Okay, so I've taken all of the screws from the side beams out of the headboard and the end board, and the bed is actually still standing because of these slotted connections here. So if you're putting this bed together, you'll probably want to fit these things together and then screw the side beams in after the fact. So you can see the bed still actually stands on its own. So I'll just be pulling these things apart. And as you can see, there's 2 of these screws per corner, per post, and 8 of these screws total. Okay, so it looks like I'm gonna have to unscrew a little bit more. I thought that these slotted items were just push fit, but actually, in some cases, there is a smaller screw holding them in. So for this part, I'll have to take 2 small screws out. This part on the bottom, the same thing with the ladder, 2 small screws out. No wonder it didn't fall apart. In this case, there's actually nothing. This is fully separated. And on this post, you can see there's 2 small screws. So 3 of the 4 posts have an extra screw at the end holding these push fit pieces. So I'll go ahead and take those out. Well, one thing I wanted to show before I do that is I wanted to show these larger head hex screws. These are the ones that are used to connect these side beams into the end of the bed, what I'm calling load bearing. I'm not sure if that's the right word. And they are shorter than the other ones. So although they have a wider head, they're actually only about 7/8 of an inch long, and they're obviously thicker.